Are we all ready?
Yes.
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 Okay. We're calling the Commission on Human Rights, the City of Albany Commission on Human Rights meeting to orders October 21st, 2020. We have our special meeting for the Equity Agenda Report. We will be voting on that tonight. We're going to do roll call. This is Dr. Brenda Robinson, Chair.
Judith Mazza, Commissioner.
Aaron Moore, Commissioner.
Valerie Alexander Mosley, Commissioner.
Letitia Alexander, Commissioner.
Angelica Kang, Chief Diversity Officer.
Laura Golfo, Assistant Corporation Counsel for City of Albany.
Thank you very much. We are very, very happy to have our quorum here tonight. And our main agenda item tonight is our Equity Agenda Report. A couple of weeks ago, we had our meeting to review this agenda and give input. The input that was given was put into the Equity Agenda Report. I sent it out via email. Some of you folks weren't on the call previously, so the Equity Agenda on behalf of the administrative services went forth to the Common Council back on September 21st. We now had our time to review and add our input, and that's what we did at our last meeting. And the comments that we all made are included in the Equity Agenda Report. Going through the report, I kind of entered our comments similar to the way that we reviewed it at our last meeting, so it's easier to find. And we have it before you. And let's see. Let me see if I can pull mine up. I also want to thank everybody for showing up for this special meeting. I know some of you have other things to do today and have on your agenda. So again, I do appreciate you for attending this meeting. So I don't know if you all have it pulled up on your screen or not. Let me see. Close that. Just gonna try to close a few things. One second, just gonna share this a little bit. Okay, so let's see here. This is the introduction. Yes. All right, so I don't know. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So as far as the introduction go, and a lot of this is just, I just went through and added some of our information that we had, being that this is the Commission on Human Rights, our input and our time to put our information into this report, and also add some framework to how we would want to see it going forward. So as we discussed at the last meeting, the methodology for this report, fix that. I did mention when I attached this to the email that we might have some grammatical errors that we have to fix as we go along. What else? I'm gonna leave this up slowly just so folks can have a look at it. Hopefully you already read it beforehand, but in the event that you haven't, I don't know what changed on there. I do want to hit some of the highlights that we did speak about in regards to this report um, for our actual review that we spoke about. One of the things that I added that I spoke about last time was the street conditions and the ratings from one of the reports that the Common Council received, that DGS in-house street paving report. And the information that I presented at the last meeting, I just included that in here. I add part of it as a data review because I just mentioned some of those findings, such as the 14th ward had the largest amount of repair, and that was equitable because it had the poorest roadways conditions as per the data that we received. Ward 15 had the second largest work done, which was not equitable as this ward had a low percentage of poor roadways. There was no project information given to support the high repair. And if you look above, they do mention that from the city's input that some work may be disproportionate due to some projects or whatever that may have been going on. So in part of the recommendations, that's one of the things that we included in the recommendations. Any identified issues or requests for consideration that will impact equity will be submitted with a clear report, such as the notation to take impending water department and national grid projects into consideration as noted above in this report. So if you're giving us a report and you say that something may not be equitable because of a particular project, then whatever that is, that going forward will be included in the report. Rather than us seeing, we do have to identify something that appears or is inequitable. But if we have the report saying, okay, well, this is the reason why these numbers look the way they are. So I think that's a good way to go going forward, whether it's about the roads or whether it's about anything else. Give us that data so we can include that and move forward from it.
Madam Commissioner, I have a question in regards to the data because this is the Tisha Alexander. I realized that as you get toward the end of the report in some of the areas there, the data wasn't available to us or was not, let me rephrase that. The data was not given to us.
Right.
Do we have any recourse that we could take where, that gives us the authority to say, listen, essentially we're out of compliance with what we're supposed to do and doing our due diligence and fulfilling our responsibilities because we're not getting this data or this information. So do we have any kind of, I guess my question is, what can we do to what authority do we have to say, you have to give us this data? Or do we even have that authority?
We've exhausted all those things that we could do. So I have presented to the Human Resource Commission meeting. We've had several meetings. Councilman Robinson, Councilman Kelly was present. I presented all our issues. I have presented it to the Common Council several times. We sent the memo out. We have done our due diligence in trying to get this data. And at this point, it's basically up to the city whether they share these reports or don't share them or give them or don't give them. But as far as the Commission on Human Rights, we have certainly done our due diligence and even presented to the Human Resource Committee in regards to the issues that we have, the barriers of not receiving reports, the barriers of even receiving this report on the 15th, and then it got submitted on the 21st without us having an opportunity enough time to review it. So I feel that the commission has done all it can do as far as the data, and the rest will have to come from the Common Council to support our issues and our barriers and moving forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We've been working on it. These are the reports that were already there. I didn't touch any of that. We did at the last meeting have a great conversation about the C-click fix, and some of the issues with that are entered on this report too. And And one of the things, listen to education that the community received about C-Clicks Fix. Everyone does not know how to use that. So we want to start seeing that education, that outreach, includes the dates of requests, the responses, the dates of the repairs. We also, the sidewalk street request by category to include a breakdown by ward, which shouldn't be too bad because it's a software. Also, with the request for repairs, this report is to include all requests via C-Clicks Fix, whether entered by a resident, um, by city staff, I have to correct that, by city staff, or requests made by phone, mail, or in person, along with the same data points above. Because some folks are not using that. They're making a phone call. Judith mentioned making a phone call. A lot of people still call the city because that's what they're used to doing. And those need to be tracked as well. And we want to see what those complaints are as well.
Right, they don't take into any consideration of someone who has a phone that doesn't have a lot of the ability to use a lot of data to do a C-Click Fix, which takes a picture, which
Right.
you have to email it in, you have to do all these things. And if you look at where the C-Click Fix numbers come from, it's not
Right.
the lower wards, except the third ward has more
Right.
than others. But
Right. And we spoke about,
basically, it's people who don't have that kind of a phone
Right.
and are not able, can't use their phone for
Right.
that purpose, or don't know how to do it.
so we're addressing that by adding in this report, number 4, about also adding the requests that are made by phone, mail, in person, and using the same data point. So I think that covers all the folks who may be making requests, rather than just using this particular software to generate this report. Because I think you're excluding a lot of people. The parks and equity piece. Let's see here. I added a comment for Parks and Recreation and the Common Council. I add a little blurb about that because Parks and Recs has been heavily examined by the Common Council. They've had many meetings. Some of the meetings I sat in on. And my main thing with that is, along with everything else, is that CHR to receive all the reports submitted to Common Council for review relating to all the topics in this report. Because reports are going to Common Council, like that report that went on September 1st, so we should have got that report as well. So it's not always the point that you don't have this data, you have it, and we need to be the recipients of this data as well, because we are working with this equity agenda as well. So you have it, send it to us. I don't think that'd be very difficult, and I don't think we're asking a lot. We move further down with the street lights. There's still a lot of work still to be done with the street lights. And hopefully during the next review, all that'll be completed. I didn't really find too many issues with that. Other than for us moving forward, have a clear report of all the new lighting installed. Once all this stuff is done, we want to see a comprehensive report, a friendly, user-friendly map that we can clearly see, and also provide a report and map any problem areas known or reported or in progress when we get to do this review again. So it'll be great to look at all these things once all the projects are done. Let's see. My computer moving a little slow here. The trash receptacles, we went and we spoke about that the data is inaccurate. Trash receptacles noted on this report does not exist in many of the areas noted. Evenly distributed is substantiated by the submitted. Oh, is substantiated by the city report submitted, as this data is not accurate. I got to put that word "not" in there, Because if you look in the upper part, the city says that the trash receptacles are, what was the terms they used?
Evenly distributed among the wards.
Right. So
Not at
yeah,
all.
so that's
They
that's
may be
not
at one time, but
substantiated. Right.
when
That's not
something
as
happens to one of them, they're never replaced.
right. So we had that discussions the last meeting, and now just putting it in here is not substantiated. Recommendations: provide an accurate list of trash receptacles, provide an updated clear map of trash receptacles requested, and the emptying process and the schedule. Because a lot of folks, I find that to be an issue too. Some cans just falling over with garbage, and other ones are not.
Brenda, your last sentence in the CHR findings, as this data is not accurate. You got if in there. It's a typo.
Let's see. This data.
Right there.
I got
Yeah,
it. Thanks.
is.
I think we got a few more in here too. So let me know. Shout them out.
Yeah, that one I caught.
Okay. The capital projects. Let's look at that further going forward. I didn't see any issues really with that. Again, we want to receive all the reports that are sent to Common Council relating to the capital projects. So we can look at that as it goes along rather than being dumped with a report with all these different things. We want to know what's going on so we can have a clear picture when it's time to do these reports. The Violence Task Force, CHR, would like to see a return on investment for all funding allocated, as well as equity and oversight and administration of funding in this area. Recommendations: list of all funding allocations to be included in this report, a list of performance measures or metrics for all programs and initiatives, outcomes of the program, and data broken down by ward. So the mayor's office, community events, blah, blah, blah on that. I didn't have anything to add with that. The community block grants, we looked at the grants last time, and this time the wards are across the city. The lower underserved wards are represented well in the allocation of funds. Recommendations: this report will include any complaints, issues of the CDBG program and action taken, if any. The CDBG informational sessions. They had a lot of informational sessions, and I think that would be good to include in this report, because some of the comments I had, folks questioning a few things or whatever, but I reminded a few folks that there were a few informational sessions, and I went to two of them. They were pretty beneficial. The city has also completed a survey, and that'd have been great to add in this report as well. So if they do that going forward, include any of those surveys, and any changes in the process should also be shared in this report. The CARES Act, again, funding allocation is shown to have been distributed largely in the underserved areas. Provide a list, recommendations, provide a list of informational sessions provided to the city regarding the funding. Moving forward to workforce training. More information in this area is required. There are also no outcomes. List a number of training accounts. Does not mean that they are used or beneficial. Recommendations: add a list of content of the training and actual usage. Having training accounts does not mean that a person is actually using it. Account activity, performance measures and outcomes. Provide a list of employers who were matched with the skilled workers. That is mentioned up top, and we just really want to get a good look at this particular program. And although this is grant funded, provide the cost of this program, how much money has been allocated to that grant or not, and provide a chart and breakdown of the tuition assistance and supportive services that they mention, that the city mentions above. the Compass Rose Reentry Grant Program. As we look at this program through an equity lens, effectiveness of this program is important. More information is needed. Recommendations, although grant funded, provide program cost. List of young people who obtained sustainable employment from this program. I have this number broken down by ward, sex, race, because they do mention that, city mentions that as actually what they do. List of specialized training provided, because they mention that they do offer that. And recidivism rate, arrest of all those served. So if that's part of your goal and what you do, how well are you doing it? My Brother's Keeper is a very familiar program that we know of throughout the country. More information is needed about that program here in Albany. Again, although grant funded, provide cost of this program, provide list of how young people are actually served, because we constantly see number of individuals served. What does that mean? Provide list of outreach efforts to capture participants of the lower wards and high crime neighborhoods, if any. What outreach is actually being done. Provide list of performance measures for this program and successes of this program. The Summer Youth Program. This program is largely served the poorer areas of Albany, which is needed. Recommendations, none. Summer Youth Program just has a lot of research, and we know that it's certainly a benefit to underserved communities. Residencies of the City of Albany. CHR findings. More information is needed for review. This report does not identify how many of the 37%, 539 employees are out of compliance with the 180-day move requirement, which is mentioned by the city above. Residence requirement and adherence certainly is a reflection of equity. Some recommendations: city to provide a list of a number of employees who are not in compliance with the residency requirements. City to provide process action for those who fail to meet this move requirement. Job fairs, nothing on that. The APD cadet program, findings, none. It's a new program. When they do get going, recommendations, demographics of all the cadets, number of cadets applied. The employee EEO data, findings with that. Equity and employment at the City of Albany is a concern. Employment based on race is #1 human rights complaint cited by the New York State Division of Human Rights. Equity in hiring practices and upward mobility promotions are very important. More information and breakdown of data is needed in this area. We had a few recommendations, such as this report to include the number of racial breakdown of all supervisors and leadership positions. It is imperative that the race diversity by department chart provided have some format with job titles listed and management identified. Number 3, reports and graphs should be larger and clearer, more legible product. Number of people apply for jobs with racial, gender breakdown and job title. This reports include the number of people hired with demographics. The slide presented of jobs and exam applicants needs to include demographics. Number 5, this report to include a number of promotions, including raises with racial demographics and job titles. Also to include the number of employees terminated, racial breakdown, and raw data to be included in all the reports as noted on some of the pie charts. I do like the pie charts, but a lot of them don't have the raw data, which we do need. And number 8, I added a biannual employee satisfaction survey to be implemented. And research does show that that does improve work performance. Now we have a bunch of charts. Over on the education piece, initially, it was just a blurb about how the city does not control the city school district. Well, I added more to that because although the city does not control the school district, the education of Albany greatly impacts our residents, our way of life, opportunity, and equity. Education in schools are also important to prospective families who may look to relocate here. And then equities with the numbers. As I mentioned previously, the school district, the graduation rates, the dropout rates, how Black and Brown folks are disproportionately disadvantaged. I did reflect that from the reports from the school district and New York State Education Department. CHR findings, inequity in education. The city of Albany continues to exist as evidenced by the data above. There's a disparity in education for people of color. Recommendations. This report will reflect the status of education equity in Albany, New York, as CHR is added above. This report will include graduation rates and dropout rates broken down by race. This education data will also include New York State averages. And this will be great to be in this report going forward in that manner. Albany Housing Authority, looking at their scholarships that they have. No findings with that. Just when they do move forward with that, provide a list of the recipients, selection process, and demographics of those recipients. Once they move out on that, that would be awesome. Mayor's community events, nothing for that. Summer youth, again with the reporting on that. What did I add? The goals of summer youth employment, that's just taken from their particular, from their own information, what the goals are. And I just put that they have been met. The benefits of the summer youth program are supported by many bodies of research. Recommendations, none. And that was the end of the report. And that was it. And we're back. Is everybody still with us?
Yep. I make a motion that we accept the additions to this report on behalf of the Commission on Human Rights.
I second.
Great. All in favor of accepting this report
As amended.
Aye.
as amended? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye. Unanimous. Thank you very much for showing up for this vote. It was very important. Certainly appreciate you for that. I'm just writing this down. I know some folks have some other things to do, but I just want to just briefly go over just a couple things before you guys go. I am sitting on the Police Reform Collab. I am on the Community Safety Restorative Justice group. We have 6 groups. So I'm on that group. I'm also on a group with, I think, I know the District Attorney Soares is with that group. Councilman Robinson is with that group. Some more law enforcement. And I think Mr. Brown from SNUG is also with that group as well. So more to come with that. Let's see. After doing this report, I did find some action plans for the Commission on Human Rights that we can talk about in November. Today, I did have a meeting with New York State Division of Human Rights, and hopefully we're going to come together and get some resources and support in a lot of different ways, and we can discuss more about that at our November meeting. And hopefully I have some more information in regards to that. And those were the main thing I did want to do tonight was just vote on this equity agenda and just give you that information. Anybody have anything else? Judith?
So will
Anybody?
our November meeting be on the third Wednesday instead of the third Tuesday? At
Yes.
6?
Yes.
Maybe we should send out those dates for November, December, January, so we can get them on our calendar because it keeps getting confused that
Okay. So
we're
we're
doing Tuesday, now we're doing Wednesday, and we can
Okay.
plan ahead.
So just want to note that November 25th is the day before Thanksgiving. So
Okay.
Don't know if people will be in town. I won't be available.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you don't need me. But others might not have. We might not have quorum if it's the 25th.
So,
Right.
so when we do look at the calendar or whatever, I'm glad Angelica just brought that up. We can throw out some dates for November, and if it works for people, it does. If it doesn't, then we just move on and try to do something else. So we all can be flexible. So if something
Because I'm
happens, and we
presuming
can't,
we're gonna keep doing Zoom, right?
yes. But if somebody can't make it, then we're gonna have to change
Yeah.
up and do a different day, or
Okay.
just have to postpone it. We only can
Okay,
do what we can
suppose,
do.
The third. I'm sorry. I looked at the calendar wrong. The third Wednesday of November is actually the 18th, not the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Right.
So if people are good with the 18th, I can schedule.
okay, that sounds
November
good.
18th.
All right.
And the third Wednesday in December is December 16th. And the third Wednesday in January is the 20th. Is that good with everybody?
So far,
So far, so good.
Okay, so I will schedule all those and have the website updated.
Great.
Okay.
thank you.
All right. If nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you all. I'll make those
All right.
corrections and send out an email. Thank you.
You